Day 5. We are on day 5 of this June deep dive. I'm Elle. I'm the creator of the pressure-free method. I have a business called Pressure-Free Living. What does that mean, pressure-free living? Sometimes I say that to people, they're curious. I purposefully have a name for all of this because I want people to be curious. Some people love pressure. They love stress. They love challenges. That's great. Those are my ideal clients. Those are the people that thrive with pressure-free. Because here's the true meaning of pressure-free. Whatever pressures or situations or stressors are coming your way, you can stay free of triggering the fight or flight stress response. It's the fight or flight stress response that causes us so much pain, so much disease, so much overwhelm. And so much is going on biologically. The side effects of these stress hormones are really the thing. I was coaching a 3.5-hour session yesterday with some female executives, and it was just incredible experience. And I really went deep on what is going on with fight or flight. We're going to do some of that on day 7 here in this little half hour. That was a 3.5-hour session. Of course, we did a lot of tools as well. Today, the focus is willpower, the struggling thing. If I have a client and we're starting out together and they say to me, you know what, Elle, I have a lack of focus. I seem to have no willpower when it comes to certain things that I want to do in my life. I procrastinate, any of those kinds of struggling things, which can easily lead to guilt and shame. I feel guilty, like I haven't lost the weight yet, or I don't exercise like I should, or I'm not taking care of the kids the way I want, whatever those things are that they seem to be putting off, and then you feel guilty about it. You're so caught in the stress response. And one of the first things I say to them is, it's not your fault. If you're not taught what I teach people, then you have no idea what's going on with your brain and why you're doing what you're doing. So one of my clients, the first time I coached the first session with her, she goes, this is so eye-opening. Now I understand why I do what I do and why I feel what I feel. The stress hormones are the things that make you feel a lot of things that you don't want to feel. And we're going to focus here on willpower, but also that moves into focus, procrastination, and one more thing, binging. Because that's a willpower thing. It's like you can't stop eating or stop watching Netflix or whatever it is you do when it comes to binging. So first, let's do the science, and then we'll do 3 tools to help you right away start to gain more willpower, gain more focus, get out of procrastination. By the way, one of the key reasons why people procrastinate is because they have some perfectionist tendencies. And so you won't even get started because you're so afraid you can't do it really, really well. Most of the people that I work with want to do life really well. It's not enough to get an A. You got to get an A plus. Like you just want life to be amazing. Or you feel stuck and you're like, whoa, I've got to have a better life. I believe I can have a better life. Somewhere in there, you can. So when it comes to fight or flight and willpower, there are 2 areas of the brain. One was actually just mapped out about 4 years ago. These areas are in your cortex, and they control your ability to have willpower. In the front of your brain, here's your executive function. So that's decision making, what you're doing today, these kinds of things going on in here. When you go into fight or flight, so in fight or flight, remember the reason for it is because you're trying to protect yourself from a physical attack. So fat and glucose drains from your brain. That's why your face turns red, because there's a lot of blood flow pulling fat and glucose out of your brain cells and out of your extremities, which is why your hands get cold or your feet get cold, to the center of your body so you can fight or run away. We're actually depowering our cortex and our hippocampus, our ability to think logically, make good decisions. We're in our reptile brain, if you will. Some people call it the monkey brain, the croc brain. All we're supposed to do in fight or flight is instantly react. We're not supposed to ponder and think and logically come up with a plan. That's not what happens in fight or flight. By the way, I think I mentioned the other day about like, you might have to go to the bathroom really instantly. That's like a protection thing. Like you'll just instantly want to avoid everything. That can protect you against the enemy. That's an actual thing. So you lose control physically and mentally. That's why if you're in a social situation, you meet someone, hi, my name is Elle, hi, my name is Jim, and then you can't remember their name. 5 seconds later, you can't remember their name. And you feel like, oh crap, is my memory going? Your memory isn't going. This is not your fault. When those hormones go out, this depowers. And the 2 areas of willpower are no longer functioning very well. So you can try to force yourself, and then you're exhausted from the force of trying to get yourself to not procrastinate, try to get yourself to do the workout. The workout will make you feel better, and that's great. But it's like that initial, there's so much resistance. People talk a lot about resistance today, especially in the entrepreneurial world. We hear about resistance all the time. These walls that it's so hard to get through. As a runner, and athletes, we talk about hitting the wall. It's like 2/3 of the way, 3/4 of the way through the race, and you're like done. You can hardly take a step. You've just used it all. One of the main reasons for that is when that starter gun goes off, you've triggered fight or flight. So you've got this burst of adrenaline, but then it leaves you. I watched this happen so many times with runners that I've worked with. And it's so cool to not have that hitting the wall like that anymore. So let's get back to this willpower. That's why, like, if you're a binger, it's really hard to stop because these 2 areas of the brain have shut down. By the way, some people, when they trigger fight or flight, want to eat, comfort eat. Other people can't eat at all. There's a really interesting study that just came out about the size of brains in anorexia patients. And there's great hope though. If you're that way where you can't eat, by the way, that's me. Like if I really release the stress hormones, I can't eat for like hours, sometimes even the whole day. I just can't eat. Nothing feels good in my stomach. I can't do it. And I once had a time when I was very underweight, and it was for reasons is like bizarre, but your brain needs a lot of fat. Your brain needs a lot of calories. And so it will actually, there are areas of the brain that actually shrink down, is what they just found when someone's going through that. But here's the good news. Your brain can recover so quickly from whatever you've done to it, including repeated releases of stress hormones. Your brain will get online again. Your willpower can come back to you so much easier. So there's the binging, procrastination, then the feelings of guilt and shame. So if you don't do what you said you were going to do, and you've procrastinated, and now you're lying in bed and you're feeling guilty about it, and you're feeling a lot of shame about it, you'll trigger the stress response again. So you're literally locked in this stress cycle, is how I refer to it, of floods of hormones continually going out and keeping your brain from working at its best, keeping your entire body from working at its best. So what if we can reverse all that? What if we can stop the release of these chemicals, these hormones inside your body that cause so many side effects, that cause you to not be able to make good decisions? Sometimes I will have people say to me, Elle, I feel like my brain is broken. It's just burnt out and broken. I feel like I have memory issues, focus issues. If you have a child with focus issues, the root cause is fight or flight. Something's making them nervous. Something's causing them to trigger the stress hormones. And it starts when they're really little. And it can be us. It can be the parents. It can be our tone of voice. Hurry up, we're going to be late. Look at my face. Wow, wow. Anything like that can cause a child to trigger fight or flight. A strange peer situation, or they don't feel like they don't fit in or don't belong. I'm going to claim it right now. We are all misfit toys. If you've ever watched Rudolph and there's the island of misfit toys, we're all funky. We've all got something weird about us. There's no one who is normal, right? We've all got just funky things. And so celebrating that, celebrating our uniqueness, I think is so important. However, here's another thing. When you're in fight or flight, everyone can feel like a threat. Other people can feel like a threat. Maybe your boss feels like a threat to you. Maybe the people who love you the most feel like threats to you. And you just have to see them or hear their voice, and you'll trigger again and again and again, and you're staying locked in that stress cycle. Yesterday, one of the women said, so I always say, oh, he's bothering me, and that's why I'm so stressed out. So there's the person is the trigger, right? But what we do, you have power. And the more and more you live pressure-free, the more and more power you have. Honestly, the secret power formula. If you're after power, stopping fight or flight is the thing that will actually create a power within you, a true power, not force, but power. You'll also remove ego. People talk about ego all the time. It's like, I can't believe how pressure-free has changed that for me. You get to your real, true self, your real, true brain, being able to do what it's supposed to do. So let's dive into some tools for you. And you can use these tools whenever you feel your willpower going down, like your willpower is not where you want it to be. You want to binge, you're procrastinating. I've got a tool specific for things. And also the guilt and shame. When you feel that guilt and shame, I really want you to just relax your abs. Be gentle with yourself, okay? You're a human being. Crap happens. And just be gentle with yourself. Be your own best friend. I say that a lot to my clients, like, let's be our own best friends instead of beating ourselves up all the time for not being perfect. Perfectionists have this big time. Okay, so first tip I have for you can really help with procrastination and the willpower deal. And it's the power of 10 minutes. I created this tool as a violin teacher years ago. I would have students, really talented kids come in to work with me. And if they were middle school, high school age students, at that point, when I go back and think about me, I was practicing about 2 hours a day, at least 2 hours a day. I would get up early in the morning and practice before school. I would practice in the auditorium of our school on my lunch. Like, I'd eat lunch fast and then go to the auditorium, and I would practice in the auditorium. I was then practicing in the evening after all my sports and everything, another whole chunk of time, as well as all the homework and everything. I was very, very devoted to my violin, very devoted. And so, I'll ask them, how many hours do you think you need to practice a day? And usually they say, like, 1 to 2 hours. But they look at their schedule and they're like, that's impossible. Like, I can't do that. So then they don't even practice because they feel in their head, I don't have a whole hour to practice right now. So here's how I started to break that. And you can do this in anything that you would like to break procrastination or break not having willpower for something. What can you do in 10 minutes? What can you do in 10 minutes? So I asked my violin students, I go, if you have 10 minutes and all you did was work on these 3 phrases of Mozart for 10 minutes, would you be a better performer? Or maybe just one phrase? Would you be playing your violin better? Absolutely. Focus. 10 minutes of complete focus. Double yellow lines down, if you know my tool there. And what invariably happens is they start playing longer because they love their violins, and they start playing longer. But that 10-minute thing, it broke the resistance. And that's what I want you to have. I want you to be able to break the resistance. So ask yourself, what can I do in 10 minutes to get this thing going? I had a client who was backlogged. They have several businesses and they were backlogged with their taxes. And they literally had banker's boxes of all these papers and all this stuff that they needed to organize for their accountant. And it just wasn't getting done because in her head, she was like, this is just going to take hours and hours and days, and I just don't have that time. So we applied that 10-minute thing for her, and she started chunking little 10-minute things to get it done. I had another client who's a marathoner runner and had a new position, which required a change in time. She had to get up earlier to start doing her new job. And that was the time that she used to run. So she was really feeling awful because she wasn't doing her runs and wasn't getting that exercise she was used to every morning. And so we applied the 10-minute thing. I go, just go a couple times around their block. Just a couple times around the block. And so she started doing that and it worked. It got something going. You're getting something going. So 10 minutes, the power of 10 minutes can be super powerful to break through that resistance for you. Let's see, the next one is, this is a little rubric, if you will. I hate that word, but that's what it is. It's got 3 parts to it. Okay, so the first part is, if you have something that you procrastinate about, if you have a willpower issue with it, let's take the exercise one. Like, you want to be doing some sort of movement every day. So you can say, and like, you don't do it. In the past, I've had trouble doing my workouts. So in the past, you've had trouble doing your workouts. Because here's what we normally say: I just can't do my workouts. You just kind of claim it, right? No, in the past, you've had trouble doing your workouts. You're now open to the possibility that you could get into your workouts every day. So I'm now open to the possibility that I can do this. Get yourself open. You can even, my tool where you go wide, if you know that tool, like go wide, it's like, I am open. And then future. So that in the future, we're using that Gary Barnes, so that again. So that in the future, what? You have a healthy body, your heart is healthy, you're feeling good. What are those things? What are those things? What are the things in the future that are now possible because you're now open to the fact that you can do your workout? So you can apply this to anything where you feel that resistance. I've been working for over 1.5 years on my second book. My first book is Pressure Free Parenting. It's on Amazon if you want it. My second book is The Pressure Free CEO. It's a leadership book about how to apply the pressure free method and why it's so important. And so you can say I'm passionate about it, but I haven't finished it yet. So I've made a commitment, and I'm still waffling on it, to get this book done by my birthday next month. So I made that commitment. What's that going to take from me? Getting through the resistance of actually doing the writing. So I've been saying, like, oh, I just keep putting it off. I just keep putting off writing my book. No, in the past, I've put off writing my book. I'm now open to the possibility that I can work at least 5 hours a week on my book so that I can publish it next month. So that I can save lives, because CEOs, leaders, people in high power positions, we lose so many of them to heart attacks and to chronic disease. And get this, they have access to the best healthcare in the world, traditional, complementary, and alternative. And yet we lose them. Why? Because of stress, because of the stress hormones. So I want to help people with that. You can feel my passion around that. It's so important. It's because I lost my father and my mother, both to stress-based diseases. They were incredible community leaders, incredible people that were sorely missed when they left this planet because of their leadership and because of who they were. They should still be here. So I'm very passionate about that, of course. Third tip for you is to write down some affirmations that affirm these things you're struggling with willpower, binging, procrastination, and guilt and shame. See if you can write down some statements. In my pressure-free planner, I have a lot of statements I have affirmations every day for people. And the point is for them to figure out, okay, what are their affirmations they want? So write down some affirmations. And your homework for this particular day is to think about the 3 things you struggle with willpower the most about. One of mine is writing that book for sure. Another one of mine is reaching out and following up and making sure I bring people across the line to come work with me. Like, I can't give up. If this person is struggling, I need to help bring them across the line so that they'll start investing and working with me. So I need to do that. So that's a procrastination thing for me, a little bit of a resistance. It's like, well, maybe it's not their time, but what if something happens and I don't help them in time, right? So helping there. I can't think of a third one right now, but those are my 2 main ones. So 2, 3, come up with yours. Like, what are some things you want to break through right now? This is your month. This is your month for amazing breakthroughs with this deep dive. If you go back through these, watch these again, like, what is pinging for you? What could make a difference for you? Certainly breaking procrastination and having focus, that's a byproduct of becoming pressure-free. Your brain gets to work really well, especially if you've struggled. It's like so cool for it to actually work. So write a few affirmations, and then your homework is, you've got these 3 things. I want you to look at these tools that I've given you. So the 10-minute idea, in the past, I'm open to the possibility now, and then so that in the future, that little thing, and then affirmations. Which one of those 3 do you think can help you in the particular struggle that you have? So if it's doing your workout, will the 10-minute thing work? Or do you need to use all 3? You can apply multiple tools to your situations. And again, the key to pressure-free is that you take that 10-second solution. You need to catch when you're first feeling the tension, catch when you're first starting to feel the guilt or shame, catch when you're first starting to feel anything that is less than stellar, to be honest, like anything that's starting to pull you in a direction that's not particularly healthy for you. So you've got that beautiful 10-second solution to start working with these particular tools. Personally, I really love the 10-minute tool, and put it right in your calendar, like 8 to 8:10, you're going to do this. Get really specific about that. So that was our show, and I'm going to go off and get on with my Zoom people right now. It's been such a joy to share all of this with you every single day, just going a little deeper on how pressure-free really affects any area of your life that you need to turn it around, change that trajectory, because we're never staying the same. We're either or you get to choose. You get to choose that. One of my friends, by the way, she goes, pressure-free is like, it is aging in reverse. Like, it's Benjamin Button. I feel so much younger after breaking the stress cycle, after getting out of constant stress hormone release. I feel that tremendously. It's like I feel like I'm a different person. In 2010, I created Pressure Free. 2012, I changed the name I go by. It's like whole new person, because that old me, the person caught in stress hormone release all the time, she did some really good things. Like, I'm not going to beat her up, but it's this totally different. I operate in a totally different way now, and it is so much healthier, has so much more focus, so much more willpower, so much more brain ability. And so if you're worried about your brain, if you feel like your brain is broken, please just private message me. Just let me know what's going on. Let's have a conversation so I can hear what's going on with you, because you don't need to struggle like that. You really don't. And if you don't get a handle on it now, where are you a month from now, 6 months from now? Like, where are you? So if this is, pinged for you at all, if this has been like, oh, wow, this is making sense. The stress is is what changes your ability to be able to do much of anything. So hope this is helpful, and I can't help it, I keep going a little over, that's okay. And I will see you tomorrow morning. Have a great day.